Chapter 55. Hunter was very curious about his new friend, Soren. He was an odd mixture of werewolf, philosopher, chef, and keen observer of anything that held life. Hunter watched him hunt mice with great interest, and he could swear that the mice came to Soren like iron filing to a magnet. Whenever Hunter tried to hunt mice, they would run and hide, making themselves as scarce as that strange bird that didn't fly. Yet that bird, as scrawny as it looked, made up for its lack of flight by its uncanny speed, running and darting, in completely unpredictable ways. It had been 3 days since he was brought to this great desert, and in 3 days he had caught one mouse. The energy he expended to hunt was not properly compensated for by the calories he earned as a hunter. This was a problem he had to solve. Soren, being the kind soul that he was, told him not to worry. Soren said that if he were to disappear tomorrow, Hunter would find a way to take care of himself. However, Hunter wasn't so sure. His hunting skills had been honed by 3 factors: a population of deer, skillful use of a blowgun, and incredible stealth, none of which he had in this desert. It was like starting over after perfecting a skill, returning to novice mode. At his age, he didn't like the novice mode. In the desert, he had his hands, and he had mice. That was it. There was no stealth, no weapons.
How is it even hunting?
He had asked Soren in frustration the day before. He would go out for hours to find mice, return, and find Soren making a stew full of mice and sandhoppers. Hunter was beginning to feel like he couldn't pull his weight, something that had never happened to him before.
Please, relax.
Soren chided.
You will find your way. Don't worry. In the meantime, it will be as if I was your wife, taking care of her invalid grandmother.
Soren laughed as loud as one can laugh in the sprawl of a great desert.
Besides, what else do I have to do here?
He batted his eyes and looked down at the stew.
I should warn you that this time of year the nights grow a little colder. It might be a good idea to find some wood and build a fire tonight. Do you know how to build fires? And I don't mean a small cooking fire like this one. A real fire to keep us warm at night.
Of course,
Hunter replied.
I may look incompetent to one like yourself who survived out for 3 years, but I know how to build a good fire, don't worry.
Excellent, then you do that and I'll make the dinner and we'll consider it a fair trade. Deal?
Hunter nodded.
Okay.
He strode off in search of anything that looked like wood. However, when he got to the far ridge, everything that could be considered wood had been picked clean or was too small even for kindling. He yelled as loud as could in the direction of Soren.
There's no wood here.
Keep going to the end.
Soren yelled back.
I never made it all the way to the end of the ridge line. I'm sure there's some wood there.
Hunter was calculating his route, making sure he would be able to find his way back. It was a long ridge, perhaps several kilometers long, and whatever wood he had found in his search thus far, it would not be enough to build a great fire. He assured himself that he would not dare to be defeated by mice and wood. That would be a humiliation he could not bear. He trudged on. As Sauron stirred the stew, a shadow caught his eye, and he immediately looked up to see a very large bird. The light was so bright that he couldn't tell what kind of bird it was, but he was quite sure it was not large enough to be a dragon. He ducked behind the rocks, watching it with great interest as it flew 300 meters to his northwest. What kind of bird is that large? He scratched his head in bewilderment, squinting his eyes until they were just as thin as skipping stones. Still, he couldn't identify the bird. One thing was sure, it would make a tasty meal for 2 hungry werewolves. It was flying low, so if he could get under it, he would have a chance to throw a stone and knock it down. He went carefully down to the mouth of the spring where he had found palm-sized stones before. After a quick search, he chose 3 stones and ran slowly in the direction of the bird. He was old, to be sure, but he still could run. It was just a little painful. As he came over the next ridgeline, he was panting, but he could see the bird in the distance, and to his excitement it was turning around, heading his way. He crouched behind a large boulder, poking his head up from time to time. The bird was still 100 meters away, and Soren thought he heard it squawking or making some kind of unusual sound. The closer it came, the sound was more like a voice. The thing it was saying sounded like, "Hunger, hunger, hunger." The bird was saying the same word in succession. It was a talking bird. That's when Saurin decided it was a parrot, a giant parrot, and looking at its plumage, it did look a little like an exotic parrot. Saurin got ready. His favorite of the 3 stones was already in his right palm, his long fingers gripping it tightly. The huge bird was only 15 meters above him, and he was all set to throw the stone in his hand with a mighty heave when he heard the parrot say, unmistakably,
Hunter.
He pulled his hand back at the last minute.
Hunter!
He yelled at the top of his lungs. The bird's head swung around and circled back to his position. His hands dropped the stones and he walked toward the bird. He could now see that it was something from a fairy tale. Hunter has told him about all of the fanciful creatures he had met, but Sauron has thought he was simply crazy. Probably the real reason he was exiled to the desert, he had thought. But now, here was this magical bird as tall as he was, with powerful iridescent wings and a head almost as large as his own. Oriole landed a few meters from Sauron.
You're not simply repeating what I said, are you?
She asked, her tone casual considering the circumstances.
You can talk?
He bellowed.
You can talk?
Soren exclaimed a second time.
Do you know Hunter?
Oriole asked, her tone suddenly more commanding.
Why, yes, of course. He's my mate. And you're Oriole. I thought he conjured you up. So this means there are actually air dragons around and cervitaurs and strange humans and mapinguaris. Oh my.
He put his hand to his forehead.
I've been gone too long.
Where is he?
He went to find some firewood over there.
Soren pointed to the rock ridges.
I imagine you'd find him near the end of that ridge. When you do, promise me you won't leave without saying goodbye.
Oriole was already flapping her wings to fly away. She turned just as she got into the air.
I promise.
He'll show you the way to my camp.
Oriole flew off in search of Hunter, exhilarated that her friend was indeed alive and seemingly well enough to be searching for wood in a desert.